Hi!
Hey, it's us.
It's us.
The podcast guys.
We're podcasting. We're two white guys doing a podcast.
Yeah.
Because we're unique.
We are the only two people who've decided in this time of times to just do it. Make a podcast.
Yeah, we think that our voices are valuable.
Yeah. We said, let's make a podcast. Been real lazy. Now we're stuck in our homes.
Yeah, we're stuck in our homes
and
because
so we very originally.
We both think we have corona. In like the legitimate way, not in like the Karen way.
Right.
So
here's the pitch.
Here's the pitch. Podcast.
The podcast. The pitch is the podcast.
The pitch is the podcast.
And here's the pitch.
Here's the pitch is the podcast name of being Here's the Pitch.
Yeah. See, but here's the thing: you just chug through it. We keep going. We have bits that we can just put together because we're real techie guys. Him more than me. I'm more the ears.
Yeah, you're the ears. you keep saying you're the ears.
Oh, are you done? Did you stop that?
No, we're still going.
Yeah.
What are you doing there?
Can you see me?
Yeah, they can see.
Can you still hear me?
They can just hear you. It's
all
not
right.
Good.
Is it?
No, this is like a 90s like Backstreet Boys video right here.
It's right here.
Oh, yeah. All right. But, here's the pitch. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and we...
Don't like it.
We don't
like it.
We're going to go out on a limb and say we don't like
Here's
corona.
the pitch. There's a lot of things going on right now, and we're going to be brave. Our voice, we're going to make it heard. We don't like it.
We don't like...
Corona's bad.
We like 0% of what's happening right now, I think. I'll go on the ledge and say I like a little of what's going on right now.
Yeah, do you mean there could be a silver lining? There could be
some might say a Silver Linings Playbook, a wonderful film starring Jennifer Lawrence and Bradley Cooper.
I
cried.
I don't know.
Twice.
I genuinely don't know how YouTube copyrights work.
They copyright if we say a name. Wait, boys! You can do whatever you want in the meme territory, but you said Bradley Cooper.
Is the meme? Is Mr. What am I trying to say? Oh, I'm so stupid.
Is Mr. YouTube
gonna come here?
It's Mrs. YouTube.
It's
Mrs. YouTube. Yeah.
Is the CEO of YouTube?
It's 2020. It's Mrs. YouTube.
Is the CEO of YouTube a female?
It is. She is. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Her kids watch YouTube. They're like PewDiePie fans, apparently.
Is that true?
Which is a real fun dynamic.
Hey, let me, because what makes good content is me verifying.
Yeah. Google it real quick. Google what one of these CEOs of a Google corporation is.
First, I have to look up Google first.
Yeah, we're gonna put it on you here.
I almost said Google. YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Susan
Wojcicki. Yeah, Wojcicki.
Jiu-jitsu.
Susan Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
Now it will be demonetized. Not that we're able to be monetized because we have 0 followers and 0 views.
Yeah.
For eternity.
That's not true.
Maybe.
I think not.
You think not? Okay. I don't doubt it.
Look at this sick ink action.
Oh, sick ink action.
Yeah.
Here are the ears and the inks of this operation.
Yeah, my pretty ears and my pretty ink.
It is the 20s.
Look at this.
So, I think you're a bona fide flapper.
I think.
Oh, we're going business here.
Yeah, business casual.
Business.
So here's the thing. Here's the pitch, guys. If you're working from home, you're doing a lot of interviews. They're doing a lot of interviews. Been a lot of interviews. Some of us are doing that. I think both of us are actually doing interviews right now.
Yes, we are. And if you're hiring, we are both actively looking.
That's not true. Not me.
Okay. So.
I'm pretty sold, like property. But here's the pitch. We're doing lots of video calls right now. You don't need to wear pants.
Oh, is that the pitch?
Yeah. The pitch is don't wear pants, guys.
What a fun mom meme you just popped into this beautiful podcast.
That's not a mom meme.
It's a mom
meme. That's a pretty edgy mom.
Oh, I don't gotta go into work. I don't gotta wear pants.
Yeah, but you don't.
Yeah.
That's the pitch. Is you don't have to wear pants.
I work at a bank and I haven't shown up in pants in weeks.
Garrick, that's not true.
It's just not true.
You're lying to our friends at the Facebook, at the YouTube.
Okay,
you can cut that little bit out. So when I said Facebook, you're gonna cut that out.
No, we're gonna keep all of that.
Just make it sound like I said.
Make it look like you just did this. YouTube. Like. Yeah. No, that's not.
I'm a real hard person to cut. I learn. Because I just move so much when I speak.
Yeah, no, you do a lot of this.
I do a lot of this. I, like, move my face. I do lots of, like, facial expressions that sometimes...
That's why we're live cutting this, because I'm not going to cut this together.
We're live cutting this
right
now?
Look at that. That's real cool.
How does that work?
I just choose the shot. Look at that. We got another one coming in.
Can you see my sweet inks?
Yeah, we can see your inks in this shot.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, isn't it? Guys, Mevo is not a sponsor. Will likely never sponsor us, because we'll likely never be worthy of sponsoring. But... it's pretty lit, especially if you're a church who has to live stream their services for the next 3 months. Or whatever, I don't know. Coronavirus, huh? How about that?
Garrett, I'm gonna be honest, and this is off the camera, but it is not off the camera.
Yeah, no, we're on.
We're both on, and I think we're both less funny because of the pressure.
What pressure?
You know the pressure.
I don't know the pressure.
Yeah, like the same kind of pressure, that like...
I feel some chest pressure.
Yeah?
And some head pressure.
Oh, like corona symptoms.
Sure, maybe.
Because I'm sure some of our viewers might be affected by this seriously.
No, for sure.
We shouldn't make jokes about that.
No, we're not making jokes. We're having a good time.
Because it sounded like you were making a joke.
With something. Oh, are we going to do this right now? It sounds like you're making a joke about my joke. An expense for a joke about coronavirus, which is insensitive, I think.
Yeah, but it's like meta.
Is it though?
It's meta insensitive.
It's Deadpool raw XD.
Can they still see my legs?
No, they can 100% still see your legs.
Okay.
Your legs and your ears are beautiful. But seriously, coronavirus, we've had a lot of pastors we've talked to. You work at a church. Currently, I am desperately looking. I'll go to my camera. We're desperately looking for a church. I am Garrick Nastrom. I'll send you my resume. Any problems with that, then you can ask me for another resume, and I'll make another resume. I'll make another video for you. I'll do whatever you want. Please, 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 please hire me. But you work at a church.
Yeah, I do work at a church
We've
right
talked
now.
to a lot of pastors. What is the feeling on the ground with coronavirus?
Yeah, the feeling on the ground with the coronavirus is, I mean, nobody knows what they're doing, man. Nobody's done this before,
No.
right? Here's the pitch. We don't know what we're doing. I'm sure you don't know what you're doing. This is unprecedented time. We've never done this before. Yeah. Nobody's ever done this before. And so the feeling on the ground is, how do we effectively do ministry? Yeah. How do we work within the confines of what we're doing safely, not teetering on the line, but like shepherding and protecting our people from this plague? And like the last thing is, how do we not overproduce, right? Because we're having all these crazy, fun ideas. We're trying to do so many different things. We don't want to overproduce and give our people too many options that they just don't want to do any of them.
Yeah, one thing that's really inspired me in this time is somebody who's creative, who spent a lot of time. I spent years doing social media for a church. I have done it for on the side as a side hustle for 4 or 5 years now. It's been a real fun experience to watch all these other churches come up with fun ideas. Like I genuinely love a lot of the ideas I've seen. I've seen people to come up with drive-in churches, which are now going to be a little harder with some of the quarantine situations. But even doing live experiences in really stripped-down ways. I mean, we've talked about Jimmy Fallon. His stuff has been really fun, and he's not church-related, obviously. But, creating more of a stripped-down, authentic feel to a church, I think, is a really cool and resonant way to do it. And, like, for instance, I just went to a small group through a Zoom meeting that I hadn't been to in months. And because it was a super good opportunity, it worked with my work schedule easier than an in-person meeting. And I think that this opens up a lot of opportunities to speak to people in a more intimate way, ironically, through a less intimate setting.
Yeah, I think a lot of our conversations have been like these big names, celebrities, talk show hosts, all these people are not trying to create the same product that they had before through this time, but they're completely changing what they're doing, completely stripping down, just bare bones, very authentic, and I think the reception of that is overwhelmingly just really good. It's really great reception because that's what people want nowadays. Yeah. Statistically across the board, people want authenticity, people want realness, and sometimes a production doesn't really
Yeah, no, I mean, like, the podcasts that you see becoming popular, like, podcast but outside, I think is one that's super fun. Like, they're on a street corner with a really crappy camera, and they're just doing a podcast in the open air and interviewing people that walk by. You see creators out on YouTube, online creators that are really stripped down, really, camcordery, running around with a camera and getting a dumb meme. But that's a lot of internet culture today, is the expectations are not what they used to be. Like when I was jumping into church media, the expectation was use a green screen and create a fun background, and you better have the really cool graphics coming in for your intro. And now the expectation doesn't seem to be there for that kind of content. And so for you, when you're creating, especially in your church setting, I've been privy to hearing some of your meetings in the other room and whispering ideas to you. But what does that feel like in the creation process as you're creating these ideas in a church setting?
Yeah, so first of all, here's the pitch. As you said, kind of that expectation before all this. That expectation was like green screen, all this stuff. Here's the pitch. I'm not adding anybody who, like, if I know you personally and you do this, I'm not trying to throw heat at you. But if you're, like, in a Zoom meeting, if you're in, like, a video call and you do, like, one of those fake background things, unironically, don't.
I've seen some good bits though, where people in like Hawaiian shirts, they put like a dumb like Windows XP background behind.
That's ironic.
Like it is ironic.
Yeah, what I said is, if it's unironic and you think it looks good, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of things. Like when you get people of different backgrounds, people that may not be as in touch with some of these culture things. I think that at the same time, like to me, that's almost charming. Yeah. Of like that's sweet.
Yeah. Do you?
A little bit.
A little.
Not as much as I would like.
So, guys, just to let you know, the best scenario, you're being a little charming.
Little charming to those who are very generous.
Here's the pitch. Don't.
Here's the pitch. We're going to keep dropping here's the pitch constantly. Because we do in our own lives. When we've been talking about names, like, we say this a lot. Like, it was either bit or here's the pitch.
Yeah.
And we're going to say both constantly.
I just sent you a text. What was the pitch? But I started with like, here's the pitch.
Here's the pitch. Yeah.
Here's the pitch. Like half space, of my text space, and then the pitch. Like, because I didn't want you to see the pitch in the initial. I don't know actually how Android phones work.
Yeah, Android phones work
with like
the same
an iPhone.
As an iPhone.
An iPhone. Like if you add a couple spaces, you can only see that like first line. Mm-hmm. And so all I wanted you to see is here's the pitch, because I knew that would be so enticing. Which is why you're here right now. Is because you saw here's the pitch and you said I am enticed. I want to see what these boys...
Or just a picture of your ears, maybe.
Or a picture of my ears. Here's the thumbnail. Here, I'm going to give you the thumbnail right now.
Oh, yeah?
Is that good?
Oh,
Are we a good ear shot?
That's a perfect ear shot.
Here's the pitch. So what's it like being on the ground right now? Is that what the question was that I really skewed off?
No, I think you nailed it. And, for me, I've been in this mindset for a long time. I've been... my whole pitch for the last year and a half has been, what can we do to strip down the church? What can we go back to the bare essentials? Mm-hmm. That's where I'm launching this thing, hopefully. This is your church. Life is going to be the website.
Guys, get out of here. He's trying to sell you something.
It's a pitch. I'm telling you.
Here's the pitch.
Here's the pitch. Yeah. I'm selling you this thing. No, but the vision behind that is what we're seeing a lot of churches try to revert to now, is what can we do to create intimacy in the church again, discipleship in the church again. It was so validating for me as a little peon in the church world to see someone like Francis Chan.
You can't say that word on a Christian podcast.
Peon?
Dude.
Okay. Is this one of those like Toe Vader, like, he did what in his cup jokes? Is that what we're doing here?
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. We got a deep cut from Cars 1. No, but the pitch is like, we see Francis Chan step down from mega stardom in the Christian world, wrote hit books that people loved. He was going to conferences, doing a mega church that he started, and he stepped down. And he started doing discipleship-centered home groups, and now he's doing missions work. And seeing his transformation, reading his books, Letters to the Church, I think, is a must-read for churches today. And I think it shows how far we've fallen as a Western church, specifically. And I hate being the guy that says the Western church, because I think that's real... jerky to say. I think it's kind of icky, if you will.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of truth to it, man. Yeah. And kind of one of the first things we started with is like, what's the silver lining? Yes, we feel and we're praying for healing and safety among the people, the church. Yeah. But also people outside the church. But what's the silver lining? What's God going to be doing through this? What are the lessons we can learn coming out of this? And I think these things that we're doing right now, these new things we're putting in place because we have to, the dream is, here's the pitch, it follows us outside of this time, and church culture, from this point on strips down. Because, right, what are we doing now as a church? We're still doing some production stuff, some, videos, stuff like this. But what we've really prioritized, at least where we're at, is, call 5 congregants a day just to check up on them, see how they're doing. That would have never happened at most churches before a time like this.
Yeah, no, and it's been really inspiring to see, and it's something that I hope catches on. We see church that has become this production. I was a person who propped up a lot of those productions. I can't see you. I guess I can put you on. See, this is what I got to deal with sometimes. But
I can do it.
No, but we see these productions and we see these things and we see this lack of focus on the essentials of. The Bible says that church is mandated to worship together, pray together, teach together, read the Word of God together, which we don't do enough of, by the way. But most importantly, I think that's been lacking is breaking of bread, is that community-centered focus of the church. And I think that, this time, I think, is really revealing that. I think it's really revealing a lot of the financial instability of the church today. There are studies coming out that have come out that the church spends $1 million per baptism per capita as compared to India, which is $9,000. That's an incredibly different number. And that's not saying I spent $1 million and got a person baptized. That's how much money churches are spending for the amount of baptisms we're having. So if there's 60 baptisms a year, which there are more, obviously, the church as a whole has spent $60 million. And that's a lot of money.
Yep.
And, I think we've built these untenable ways of doing church. I think that there are ways that are falling away. You see in Pew polls now, 10% of the church has dropped off every generation, from baby boomers to Gen X to millennials, and the stats aren't out for Gen Z yet. And I'm hoping that we can start reforming, start changing, start fixing the things that are broken to where we can finally see those numbers either stay put and then start to grow. Which is something that I think that we need to see if we want to continue doing business in the next 20 to 30 years.
Yeah, and so you just spoke a lot. I'm going to make you speak a little bit more. What's the pitch? How do we see that number stop going this way and start going this way, right? How do we see it, the reception of people increase, right, per generation? What are millennials, what are Gen Zers, what's the next gen, Alpha, whatever that is, what are they looking for from the church?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that a lot of the things is authenticity, and here, real quick, see how much time is on that recorder.
23:18.
Okay, so we're good. No, yeah, I think that a lot of the things that people see in the church that they're looking for, especially for Gen Z people, I see this existentialism. And I don't know if you've noticed this in your youth ministries. I have friends with Gen Z kids. I talk to a lot of Gen Z kids still. I like the meme of Steve Harrington from Stranger Things, and the girls ask him, how many kids are you friends with? And it's like, no, I have a lot of friends that are kids as well. Now they're graduating high school, which is insane. But, I talk to a lot of Gen Z kids. I'm friends with a lot of them on Facebook still. And they have these existential thoughts and dread, and their memes are existential. Their content that they consume is existential. Their favorite celebrities have existential things. Like Billie Eilish is existential. Post Malone has some, but not as much. But these big celebrities coming up, these big people, they're asking these deeper questions. And I think that the church has to have answers for those hopes and those fears. And, I think that with creating those relationships the way people do, I think there's an interesting reason why The Office and Friends and New Girl are becoming so popular today. It's because people are looking for that tight-knit friend group. And they feel like those shows are that. And that's something that people long for. That's something that people are looking and hoping for. I think that's something that the church is specifically able to offer to people that you can't replicate anywhere else.
Well, here's the pitch. It's almost the church's job to offer that, right?
Yeah.
I think people are sick of, what these millennials, Gen Zers, guys. I'm actually a Gen Zer, believe it or not. People
follow him on Gen Z Pastor on TikTok.
Gen Z Pastor on TikTok, guys.
Gen Y Pastor.
Gen Z Pastor on TikTok,
or Gen
guys.
Y. Gen Y Pastor is pretty cool too.
So follow me. I'm Gen Z Pastor on TikTok, right? When people are like, "Oh, you're millennial," I'll be like, "Yo, I'm gonna make you feel
I'm not even a millennial. Yo. Okay, so we're just gonna cut right back.
Yeah,
we'll just pretend Garrick did not plug in the microphone. I mean, did not plug in the camera.
Oh, Garrick didn't think of the word camera.
Garrick didn't plug in the camera, so we're just gonna pretend like we didn't just cut weird right there, huh?
Yeah. So I have no idea what we were talking
about. We're talking about Gen.
Exactly
you're a Gen Z pastor. You think it's always weird when people call you a millennial.
Yeah, people call me a millennial all the time. Like, I'm in staff with a bunch of I won't say a bunch of more experienced Christians than I am, and whenever they're like, "Oh, the millennial," whatever. It's really, like, sobering for everybody to be like, hey, I'm actually Generation Z. You have made a mistake by hiring me because I'm a No, I'm just kidding. That's not true. Yeah, and so I'm actually Generation Z, so I have part of that perspective. I'm, on the end of that spectrum.
Yeah, and I'm barely millennial.
He's barely millennial, so we're kind of right there in that sweet spot in between, which could be a generation of its own. You hear that all the time.
Yeah,
but that's just because people
want
to feel special. Yeah,
and because we made them up.
People want to feel special.
People want to feel special, and we made up generations.
Yeah, but I think what people are looking for more than ever is they just don't want to play a part anymore, right? Because that's a lot of, I think, what younger people, what people asking those questions are thinking is, hey, I don't want to play this role anymore. I don't want to do my 9 to 5, then get grumpy and, go sit in my room, do whatever I do for the right. I don't want to fit those stereotypes that has always been how to live your life, because that's literally just playing a role. And I think that's the perspective. And so how can we just completely break the status quo? How can we go outside of the box and do something new, something fresh, something authentic, and something real? And so something you mentioned earlier was we need to, as a church, be breaking bread together. And this kind of image popped up in my head. Earlier this year, we took our students to a youth trip, and we did communion. And so our students had never done like the rip it and dip it communion. You know what I'm talking about? Like, Here's the thing, here's the pitch. Don't do it now. Social distance. Don't spread germs. But when all this is over, rip it and dip it is the way to do communion. Right? One big old
rip
piece
it and dip it, but then like put it into each other's mouths. Like get
this.
real,
like look at each other and do that.
And get real egregious because you no longer have to social distance.
Right? Because we're celebrating by
ripping and dipping
germs. Right? Rip it and dip it is just this unique way, and it didn't used to be this way. This unique way to do communion, where you have one big old piece of bread, you have one chalice of grape juice, because we're not sinners.
Yeah, we're not sinners. We would never give children anything other than grape juice as well.
Yeah, because that's objectively a sin.
Yeah, that's objectively. We can talk about the other one, which I'm sure we will.
Eventually.
But, eventually we'll talk about that one.
But don't give students alcohol.
How about you don't?
That's bad.
I had a student ask me to pick him up cigarettes once, and I was real uncomfortable with it. I was glad he felt comfortable to ask. Real uncomfortable with the fact that he asked me.
But we ripped it and dipped it, so we had one big piece of bread, one chalice of grape juice, and we just passed it around, and it was this intimate thing, because communion should be this intimate thing of, the body of Christ coming together to celebrate Jesus and what Jesus offered for us. But they had never ripped it and dipped it before. They had just been so accustomed to and so attuned to this kind of corporate worship, where the only way they knew how to do communion is getting a little teeny cup and a little teeny, I wouldn't even call it a cracker. A piece of cardboard. A little teeny piece of cardboard. Here's the pitch. If your church still has these little pieces of cardboard, boys. Get those out of here. It's a sin.
Yeah, we're not here to shame people.
Yeah,
but if we were here to shame people,
do not use those little cardboard
They're not worth
little
it.
wafers.
They're not
worth
good.
it. They could pay you to take them. They're not worth it.
I guarantee you, if you asked a person in your church if they'd be willing to pour 500 cups of grape juice so they didn't have to experience those, you would find some middle-aged person who's like super pumped to do it, or a youth student would absolutely do it. And I know that from experience, both being that student and getting that student.
But they had never experienced this community-building thing that was rip it and dip it communion. And it was really just like they were experiencing something that I had experienced before for the first time, and their eyes were open, and they were having so much fun with it. They left that little experience saying, "That was so cool. Can we do this again?"
Yeah.
There were jokes made. It was legitimately a community building thing. And I think that's what we miss sometimes, and that's what we miss what people want.
And that's also what we miss in larger churches. You know, I've been to a lot of small churches. I've have parents who are church planners, and they have food every week. Not full meals, but they have food. Like, they have cookies and drinks and stuff like that, and people hang out afterwards and eat and drink. Like, I had a long conversation about politics with a couple of people when I visited once, and it was a really good, like, corporate discussion that the church had, and they all had questions and concerns about this certain topic, and I was able to share my point of view, they shared their points of view, and it was this really fun, organic community building that you would never get on a Sunday morning in a bigger church, in a church with 500 people. Even if you put, you know, some donut holes or some donuts on a wall with the pegboard or whatever, you never get that kind of deep connection with everybody hanging out and having that experience. And small groups try that, but we don't have small groups that oftentimes don't have the leader structure to have leaders that are equipped to lead basically a small church. And that's really what we're asking, what we're looking for, what I'm looking for specifically. I won't speak for you here. What I'm looking for is, you know, churches that are small, and up to 200, up to 300, but like churches that are small enough that they can be a community, that when it's somebody's birthday, most people at the church know it. And are friends with them on Facebook to know it, because, you know, we don't know birthdays anymore, but through Facebook. But, you know, at least they're that way.
Hey, when's my birthday? All right, so as you can see, he's talking from both sides of his mouth. But he still does.
I'm friends with you on Facebook, though.
It's a very good point. It's a very good point, and
that's why I added the Facebook.
I think that's a really easy thing to build in a smaller church. But there are bigger churches, and how do we build that? How do we build healthy small group cultures to where, if that's where you are, but you still want your congregants to have this more intimate community, this smaller church within your church? How do you create these, like you said, it's almost a smaller church, a smaller network within this church as a whole, this umbrella church.
No, I think we have to have really high standards on group leaders. I think that's a lot of it. And, you know, I've been in churches that did that very well, did that very poorly, did it very well, and then started doing it poorly. And I think that, you know, when you have those high standards, you have those classes they take, this consistency that they take, that is a huge benefit to this, especially during this time, during Corona. You know, we have the opportunity to build small groups and build things within these Zoom networks and within, you know, FaceTime, with all these different apps, that we can, as pastors, do that with a bunch of groups of people. But then we need to be equipping people to take those small groups over once we're back to physical and once we're back doing things. Because I think small groups are incredibly important. My preferred model is that's the church, period. But I understand that's not fully realistic. I think making sure that you have your small group leaders have similar expectations as a pastor, if not the same expectations as a pastor.
Yeah, and so what are those expectations? Never show your ankles.
Never show your ankles. You have to be a man. That's a big one. It's a joke, clearly. We're a couple of real female supporting boys here.
So was that no
women
ankles?
No ankles.
You can be a man or a woman because the Spirit has fallen.
Because the Spirit has fallen, and you know, Jesus
equally
affirmed women in ministry. Paul affirmed women in ministry. The big, like, Paul wrote like most of the New Testament. He affirmed women in ministry. I think maybe we should consider that when we're talking about it.
Other expectations. I'm thinking about a lot of jokes that could get me in trouble, and so
a lot of jokes that could get you in trouble. Sure. No, I think that. But, you know, expectations of ministry, like what you expect from your pastor, you should expect from your small group leaders. They're the people that are shepherding those smaller flocks. They're being trusted with that. They may not be the head shepherd, but David wasn't the head shepherd of his family's flock either. But he was there, and he was leading that flock, and he was trusted with it. And I think that should be a very high level of responsibility and taken very seriously.
And here's the pitch. I think that's true for small group leaders. I think that's true for a lot of high-capacity volunteers. How do we get our expectations up? And not necessarily that we have to go and nitpick people who fit those exact expectations, but how do we build people who then fit into those roles, who then grow into those expectations per se?
That's a good question. For next podcast.